Welcome to the OsSoSpurs podcast. Are you looking for somewhere that isn't just going to be spouting made-up transfer rumours, actually digesting what we really learned from Frank's first game in charge and what was important to pick out on his press conference? Well, you found the right place for that. We're also going to be telling you what we expect to happen on the Asian tour and previewing that Luton game. Let's start. Oh, and also one more thing for you. I heard that YouTube has ramped up the number of ads in videos. So I'm going to go manually in after this and delete 2/3 of the ads they try put on so you can get a better experience watching this video. But guys, we've got most of the esteemed panel with us, starting with Johnny in sunny Dublin. How are you, Johnny?
Dry anyway. Absolutely lashing earlier. But yeah, I'm good. How are you, Jimbo?
I'm doing well, thanks, mate.
Yeah,
I'm doing well. Yeah, we had a little bit of rain. Everyone was celebrating in the UK. Stuff grew. I have this amazing veggie patch I've been so proud of. I even brought my farmer dad over to have a look, and he went, "You do realise those are all weeds." So there you go. The weeds have consumed all my vegetables, and I am doing my
What
my
were you
father
trying to grow?
A cauliflower, broccoli, peas,
Delicious.
carrots. I've got one tomato, one carrot, and one just giant corn. That's what I've managed to make. So there you go. There you go. Better next year. You learn, you grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Stu, how are you?
All good. We almost had the excitement of rain. It was rumored that we might have a bit of rain today, but we just had a few clouds, so disappointed.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Deej, California's always just breezy, isn't it? It's just breezy in San Francisco. Just nice.
It rained a little bit this morning. Everyone got rain or the suggestion of it, so that's pretty cool.
Cool. There you go. Well, very good. Now you've all had the weather update. Let's talk about the Spurs, shall we?
This shows how much we're struggling for content.
Yeah, it's a bit of lack of news, but we're going to squeeze some good stuff out. We're going to squeeze the relevant stuff. Just cut through all the fluff, shall we? Let's start with what definitely happened, a game of football against Reading Football Club. Johnny, I was going to start with you on this one. What were your takeaways from the game? What caught your eye? Frank's fingerprints were over that, right? A few things you wouldn't have expected to see under a previous reign that you saw in that game. Over to you, mate.
Well, first of all, it was great. It was just great to see a game after, whatever it is, 6-7 weeks, something like that. Also, a very fresh kit, which I think by consensus most people are very enamoured with. So I think we might have an OSS special where we're all wearing the black away kit at some point this season. Oh, Jimmy's in there already. Respect.
If you're listening on audio, I'm just holding up the shirt.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
It does look nice.
Yeah. I take it there's no name on the back, seeing as you're approaching
early
middle age.
I stopped doing that when I passed about, 12.
25.
But anyway, if anyone's into that, that's fine. It's just my personal preference.
It's fine, exactly. No judging.
Older brother took the mic. There you go. Go on, Johnny. Carry on.
No, you're fine. So it was great, and it's getting used to having a new boss is slightly odd, but I think we've talked a lot about Thomas Frank over the last month or so, and it's good to see him there and listening to what he said and finally seeing him in control of the pitch. There were aspects of Frank that were not the key kind of takeaways, but it was just, I liked his engagement with the team. I know that the sort of the fact that the entire 11 was changed at halftime sort of was probably one of the reasons why he's doing his talk out on the pitch, but I quite liked seeing his talk out on the pitch. And just seeing the sort of the reaction of the players around him, and even like how there was a clip of him running to get his tactics board. Yeah. There was those kinds of things. I'm not cynical in the sense that I think that he's just sort of staging some kind of PR, trying to impress the fans. But that's something a bit different, I guess. And he looks good in a tracksuit. He's in good shape. It probably works out a lot. But I think the league. I'm not going to go any further than that. Jesus.
Love myself a Dane.
Hello,
I wasn't that blown away.
Stevie Windows.
Guys, can we just pause there to rate Thomas Frank's tracksuit look? Because I preferred tracksuit Poch and Ange tracksuit. If we're just going purely aesthetics, no denying Thomas Frank's probably the fittest of the three, physically wise.
He's the only one of the three without a belly.
Yeah, I like a suit. I do like a suit, but I think that Thomas Frank totally gets away with a tracksuit because he is in good shape, and I'm not saying like he's hot because I'm not really that inclined. Oh dear.
You're digging yourself a deeper hole here.
Deej's face in the corner there.
Thinking Fans podcast. It's doing itself a good service
so
tonight.
Much more of this. Onto the actual, how many minutes have we spent not talking?
We spent 5.5 minutes talking about Thomas Frank's
How
physical
fit he is.
attractiveness
Oh,
basically so
boy.
far. But carry on, John.
Well, I hope people haven't had to endure too many ads during this spiel. I guess there's a few caveats. First of all, it was League One opposition, right? So we've got to remember that. That's important. So when you're seeing the like Kudus, what he was able to do, that needs to be borne in mind. But I guess from point of view of Thomas Frank, I thought that we looked really controlled. Again, it's League One opposition. I know they're probably a good League One side, and they just missed out on promotion, I think, to the Championship. Reading are like not mugs, like so. They're still good pros. It's the first game for some of our lads playing together. We obviously didn't have the inverted full backs. Pressing was, I liked pressing. I thought that it was quite organised, and we were really quite good at winning the ball back quite quickly when Reading had possession. I think there was definitely, in terms of changes from Ange, like the set pieces, which kind of is something that is associated with Thomas Frank. We did score both our goals from corners, and that's something that we're definitely not used to over a long period of time. Really, things got a little bit better in the last couple of years, but that was impressive. And I guess speaking of the goals, then you've got Vuskovich is the big talking point, I would say, from that game, because we've been eagerly anticipating him. It must be getting off for a couple of years, certainly a year and a half since he signed as a 16-year-old, and what he's done and what we've heard about him doing in Croatia first of all, and then in Belgium last year. For that as a debut is very, very impressive. And you've got the sort of usual kind of over the top reaction, but it's exciting to see that over the top reaction because we all can identify with that. We're also desperate to have sort of a next big signing who's not cost very much money and has a whole career ahead of them. He's obviously immense physically, and what we knew already about his forward play was again sort of rubber stamped with that incredible, really cool finish, and then before that the header that set up Lancashire. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it was Lancashire. Yeah.
So those were kind of, I suppose those were the two players, Kudus and Vuskovich, would get people talking because they're the debutants. But there were definitely some elements that were quite different from the previous system, and it is only the first game, so it's going to take time for all of that to evolve.
I did find some of it some of the reaction, and it was only in small pockets, but I found some of it a little bit disingenuous when it was a bit like, it's so nice to have coaches out there coaching again.
No.
It's like, oh, come on, let's not pretend there was no coach. I get what people are what they're trying to say is inadvertently a backhanded comment to try and be like, kind of we're better now. But there is some truth, I think, certainly an echo of truth, that it felt more like there was a more blatant system that's easier for us fans to understand and follow. Then, Ange was always like, make this way of playing so good, no one can counter it. Whereas Frank's feels more like, I'm going to just do what works and is commonly understood as the right way of doing things and playing, and be effective at it. It's just a very different mentality. But I did want to ask Deej a bit about the Vuskovich before. I know I'm going off a bit of our agenda, guys, but Deej, where's your head at Vuskovich? The comments are classically extreme on all sides. He's either a League One player who, stood out because the opposition are crap, or he is the next greatest thing. We don't need Romero anymore. Just sell him. And also, I think there's an element of, do we overly bank the importance of goals on a centre-back? Maybe we should be looking at his defensive capabilities. But anyway, Vuskovich, I wanted to ask you a bit about what you made of him. Do you think someone we keep or loan?
It'll be interesting to see how he plays in the rest of the games. First thing I want to say is I do think that Postecoglou's system was pretty easy for the fans to understand. It was just go forward. That was about it, except for in the Europa League games. I'm joking. But yeah, no, I think that Vuskovich's performance all around was pretty impressive. I think that his biggest knock is his pace, which we didn't really have to see. Like, that wasn't really an issue from this game, which obviously, if you're playing next to Van de Ven, is never... You're going to have a little bit of extra leeway. And you've got someone who's pretty realistically has enough pace for the both of them. But like, obviously his goal, his assist were both very good, but you can also see he had a goal line clearance as well. And then there was a lot of time where like the ball was in the air, and he's just I think his biggest strength is probably, or one of his biggest strengths is the way that he is able to like play those balls. He's really like adept at both getting his body in the right place and also, because he's so big, moving the opposing forward or whoever it may be who's trying to like go for the aerial duel with him into a place where they're really disadvantaged, as well as him being advantaged. So I think that was something that was interesting to see, and hopefully we could see more of that. But yeah, I don't want to make too many sweeping conclusions from one preseason game, but I thought he looked really, really good. Can't really ask for much better from an 18-year-old. Honestly, even if he had made a few mistakes and leading to a goal, it's still not like a immediate, oh, we definitely need to loan this guy. But the you can only take positives from that performance, I think.
So you're saying that, dare you say that there's not enough of a data pool of seeing him play yet to confirm whether he is better than Christian Romero and a £100 million player, or perhaps needs a loan, that we might actually need to be a bit patient and see how he unfolds?
No, I think he's winning the Ballon d'Or this year.
Ballon d'Or. Okay, we'll stick at Ballon d'Or.
Or scoring a hat trick of
Kudus might
corners
might win it though
in the Champions League final.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the conclusion. I'm going to ask you all to value him now. No, let's go on to beyond the game. Let's just get it out of the way, shall we? The biggest piece of news that just is constantly reverberating. Reverberating? Have I got that right? Yes, reverberating. Yeah. Sorry. It's Morgan Gibbs-White. Stu, I'll pass over to you. 10 days ago, we had the Here We Go from Fabrizio Romano. And ironically, underneath, I saw Spurs fans say, has he ever got a Here We Go wrong? And someone said, only once. And sod's law, the next day, it was only twice. Did you, what's your thoughts on this situation based on what's real and what's not? Where are you with this whole thing?
I think that the very fact it's gone quiet means that things are either in the hands of our legal team or we have backed off. I think it's pretty clear that, we have made our bid. Forest are clearly feeling strong enough. And I heard somewhere that while our Greek friend is very litigious, apparently he's also very successful at it. He doesn't lose them, which also makes me a little bit worried about our success rate, which makes me also wonder if we've backed off. Because I think if we were confident, we would be forcing this through to the FA and to UEFA, saying, we've triggered it, they've got to release him. The fact we haven't, and the fact that Morgan Gibbs-White also hasn't pushed it from his side for breach of contract, makes me wonder if it's really going to happen or not. Let's put it this way: I'm not as positive as I was a week ago.
I kind of read it differently, to be honest. I think we would have probably put out a leak saying that we were more or less out of it if we were out of it. I think the way that I'm reading it is because there have been rumors from other journalists talking about potential signing other number 10s, and I don't think that Forest are looking in that position if they're not looking to replace Gibbs-White. So my read on the situation, and maybe this is just me hoping for the best, is that we are waiting for them to sign a replacement, and there's kind of a handshake deal there. Because I think that if they would have sued us, if there was an actual if we did breach protocol and there was something that they could do to us to make it so that we they would weaken a rival, because they finished in European places last season. They are in the spot that we want to be. So if they can weaken a rival, I think they would have done that by now. And there hasn't even been a complaint to the Premier League, I think, in an official capacity.
How do you think they would weaken us? Because there is no track record of any team being punished for speaking.
Yeah, so then they don't have a legal case, is my point. I don't think that they don't
have a legal case to weaken us, but they have a legal case potentially to block the release clause if there's an NDA that, if it's proven that they've released it, makes it null and void.
Then I think they would have already taken it to some sort of court. I don't understand why they wouldn't just, because if it's, I don't know, it just doesn't. I don't see the logic behind not pushing for a legal. This release clause is no longer valid, not just for you guys, but for any team. If they could do that.
Well, there was interesting. We're talking to Ben Jacobs about this, and he dived a bit deeper into it. And he said it's likely, no one knows for sure because it's legal stuff, so no one's actually been told what the scenario is. It's kind of, and anyone who does know is not allowed to say they know. Just weighing up and going over it, people who do understand the legalities of things. It's most likely Marinakis is just looking at this in three options. He's going to try delay this as long as he can. Because like you guys say, if they had the clear evidence, they'd have probably presented their hand and been like, there you go, back off, you can't have him, you broke the rule. They're more doing the tactic of, we might not, don't try us. So that to me is how long can we delay this so we can get a replacement in, or maybe you will back off. But most likely so we can get a replacement in and delay this. But also, what if we could delay it to the point that the transfer window closes and we're still all arguing about this? And then it's proven mid-year through next season, and by then he's just given up the idea and signed a new contract with a bigger release quote of 80 million quid. something like that, and he's then got his way. But also, if that does happen, he might be put off doing that because Spurs might be able to say, hello, now we have evidence we never broke any rules. You manipulated a situation that we're now going to sue you for compensation because we weren't able to bring in a player that we had the right to buy. So it could go in so many directions. And no one really, we just don't know, do we?
I think they've also risked really annoying Morgan Gibbs-White because he clearly doesn't want to sign an extension because apparently they've been trying for 12 months to get him to sign a new contract and either up the release clause or take it out completely. And if someone's come in who he clearly wanted to join and they've pulled out all the legal stops, and let's say that they are in their right because they can prove that there was a clause saying they weren't allowed to, him or his agent weren't allowed to tell anybody. It'll still make him not want to sign a new contract and want to leave on a free.
Yep. It's going to disrupt him, but he's at the same time thinking, I've got so long left to my contract. It must work in their favour a bit that Marinakis is like such a strong, opinionated person that he probably knows if he goes to war with this guy. Marinakis is the type who would happily, chop off his own arm to prove a point. It's not going to all be about what's the best business decision to him. It's going to be about feeling like he won and Forest won and a player is not bigger than the club. He just seems like that kind of character that I think Gibbs-White will probably feel a bit demotivated and frustrated, but ultimately he'll probably just get on with it, won't he, if he's forced to. I can't see him downing tools and not turning up to training or anything like that.
Okay. Fabrizio was talking on YouTube apparently like 10 minutes ago and said that we're still focusing on the Gibbs-White deal. So it's definitely not off.
Fingers crossed.
I imagine we're trying to have a reasonable discussion.
Yeah.
And like the talk is they've just taken the phone off the hook while they go and find someone else to cover that they want to replace him with first.
Isn't Edu still with them?
I think so, yeah.
Vinay would have some sort of a relationship with him as well.
To me, it very much reads like they're trying to stall for time before buying a replacement. And I'm hoping that that's it. Because I would do the same thing, honestly, if I were them. And I had any way to say, oh, we're probably not going to sell him. So yeah, we're just buying this guy as a backup. Yeah, we need, we'll pay way less than you guys would charge for someone who would clearly come in and be a starter.
Would we feel the same if, just put it into fair context, because I think it's easy to look at our fans' perspective. If we didn't know Romero had a £60 million release clause, and we know he's worth more than that, and Atletico Madrid found out through speaking to his agent, he said, look, this guy's got a £60 million release clause, go activate it. I know you think you can't afford him, but you can. Go, ooh, all right then. We go, what on earth, where did that come from? And then Vinay or Daniel step in and go, I put a clause in there. You weren't allowed to know about that. How did you know? And they blocked the transfer. We'd be going, go on, Dan, get in there.
Yeah.
We'd be loving it. They're doing it, and we're ultimately frustrated because we really want Morgan Gibbs-White because he's a brilliant player, and we had the euphoria of him joining us to not joining us in the space of 24 hours. That's why we're more annoyed.
Just think about how we're still making fun of Charlie Kane for the verbal agreement.
Yeah.
That was different, though. That was.
First thing we do if we bring him in is we make his agent Charlie Kane, right?
There's a bit of a difference in a verbal agreement, obviously, than a signature on a piece of paper. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's a completely fair parallel that you're drawing, Jim, and we'd be absolute hypocrites and we'd be liars if we didn't accept that what you've just said is probably the truth in terms of our reaction if it was that way around with Kuti. But at the same time, if it's proven that there's a piece of paper and there is a release clause and it's a ridiculous undervaluing, if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, and you do have to accept it. You're not going to be happy about it. You'll be raging about it. And if it does play your way, then the other crowd head off and look for something else, then happy days. But I'm certainly no legal expert, and I think listening to you guys, it's just impossible to tell, isn't it? And it's nice to hear that Deej's given us a little bit of a Fabrizio update there that it's still kind of going on in the background. So let's just it's just conjecture really, and certainly I think the fact that it's been quiet for a week doesn't really mean a whole lot at all. I would assume. And
also, he's a really good player, but it's not one that's going to completely define whether we're successful or not over the next. It's more important the intent to sign players of that level continues this window, and we come out of it going, we added 3 players, Kudus and 2 others, who elevated the quality of the first team to that level, and we see Spurs go that extra little bit. I'm not saying we haven't spent, we have, but we spend to a level that really stretches us to remain in those Champions League spots, and we take that gamble. I think that's more important we do that, right? But, talking of other areas of recruitment, presuming Langer and the team were able to focus on more than one target at a time. There's also been links to Wharton, Simmons, Gesson, Visser, Paulinia, Ramsey. Anyone else? Lieber, is it? Is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah.
Do we think any of those are realistic? Because they're bloody
maybe
expensive
not
names, some of them.
Cost, isn't it?
Not at the beginning of the summer, but apparently, yes, they are. I don't know. This is not
I mean,
the
Jacob
Tottenham Hotspur a few
Ramsey
years
is
ago.
he's not getting as much game time as he'd like, and he's obviously a club that needs to sell because of the financial situation.
Exactly.
So he's definitely a realistic option, and I assume he's homegrown. I mean, he's English, isn't he? Like, so he would be a good addition. If you got Gibbs-White over the line, are you really going to buy Jacob Ramsey as well, though? Like, I mean, are they not kind of?
No,
do they not
I think
fulfill?
I think it's one or the other.
Yeah. So and again, Simmons is the same situation. Only his price tag is going to be even higher.
Simmons potentially can play in other positions across the front.
Yeah. He's
want
more of a
that.
10, isn't he?
Yeah, but he can play on the left as well.
Can you imagine if we went full U-turn and just went, fine, Eze, 60 million quid?
Yeah.
Would that appease everyone, do you think? If
Yeah.
he went from Morgan, now we've bid for Morgan Gibbs-White, would Eze feel like a letdown? That sounds crazy to say, because everyone was so excited by the idea of Eze.
I'd be all right with it.
I'd definitely be all right with it, especially when Arsenal think they're going to get him.
Exactly.
It would be nice.
Okay, so what I'm saying is there's other options out there. Simmons is a great player. Eze's a great player. Morgan Gibbs-White's a great player. The 100 other players we've never seen play, like the Mickey van der Vens, that could pop out of nowhere and be great players because they're of an age and in a league that we don't watch.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's loads of good options, but Gibbs-White gives you more assurance he's going to hit the ground running, all those kind of things. But Wharton, so going back to other names, Wharton, unless we're going to drop 100 million quid, I can't see that. He's going to be just way too expensive right now, isn't he? He's homegrown.
Unless he's got a release clause as well.
Palace players often do, but if it's confidential, why don't you just test it? Why don't you just slap down 65, 66, and just keep going all over the place, just sending out emails until you hit one?
And then say, oops, change my mind.
Just have a team of SDRs and cold callers just going through, dropping bids at low prices around the place and see what you pick up.
I do think that you're right, Jim, that there are so many players out there, and we didn't know about half of them until we made a bid for them. And I think that's the way that Lange works. He works quietly in the dark, and we don't know about anything. Like the Gibbs-White we didn't know about until all of a sudden Fabrizio Romano's saying, here we go. And Kudus also, kind of more or less came from nothing until West Ham started talking about it. So there's so many cases that we could be, chasing 4 or 5 deals and we've got no idea.
Yeah, true.
So Paulinia, though, I think's gone.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, what do you guys think about the left back? Because we've all said that we want a 6 and a left back cover, but I haven't seen us linked with a single left back cover all summer.
I think it'll be like the Kinski deal.
Focus thing, yeah. I think my assumption is that if we bring one in, I think we're probably fine if we don't bring one in. I think Davies is still there, and I think that now that we're not playing with inverted fullbacks, I think that gives more license for him to play in a more defensive role that he's more comfortable in, rather than the sort of bombing wingback that he was trying to masquerade as, which I think, because he's still a very capable defensive option, he's just not as great going forward. But that's sometimes, I think we can work our system around using a player like that. I think also if we did bring one in, it'd just be like a young player, so I don't think that's, and it'll be cheaper. So I think that's probably one where it honestly might be figure out how much it'll take to buy player XYZ, because these are the important positions. Because I think we can all agree that we've taken care of a huge position of need in like a sort of like a winger who can like bring the ball forward. I think that was something that we've been crying out for a while. I think bringing in hopefully a 10 that can stay healthy and continue to contribute to like attacking like Madison does, but also be pretty like dynamic in the midfield. Like Morgan Gibbs-White is another area that I think will improve our team pretty greatly in the first 11. And I think the next area and the next place we can link to, the 6 is another one that I think will be a huge upgrade to the first 11. Whereas a left back will kind of be like, we'll probably bring in a young guy and hope he develops. So my guess is it might be something it might be something where it's just like, how much of the budget do we have left, more or less?
Yeah.
Spend the rest of it on a guy who will develop.
It's a bit like last season, though, I think, the left back, where it's like we all knew we needed one, and we went in the season being like, it's not the be all and end all. But then you reach a certain stage of the season where you go, I hate to say it, but told you so. We really did need that player, didn't we? It would have made a difference over the next 5 games having that other option there with these injuries and this backlog of fixtures. But I think, like you say, it's like there's always areas you've got to improve, and that's probably like third or fourth priority left right now on the list.
I'm hoping we do. I agree with DJ. I think I'll be a youngster, but I really hope we do it, because what I don't want is to have Gray having another year at right back and Spence at left back. I'd like Gray to finally get a chance to see if he can play in the middle.
Frank did use his wingers as wing backs. No, Dida's already made it very clear. Kudus and Jordan Johnson would not fit that profile at all. But on the left, we should try something
that's
been
Son
tried
back
before.
at, we should put Son back at
Son
left back.
wing back. It's destiny. Finally. Come on,
Poch was
please,
ahead of his time.
let's try it against Chelsea.
Jesus.
Let's try it against Chelsea as well, because that's always the point where everything just implodes, isn't it?
Exactly. How could it go wrong?
Let's do it. Let's do it again. That was against Chelsea last time in the FA Cup, wasn't it? We tried it before. Yeah.
Semi-final as well, wasn't it? So
What a
penalty.
time to try that out. What a time to try that out. Just finishing off the recruitment topic, Paratici. I'm sorry, we have to give this one to Stu because he can actually speak Italian, so we can pronounce his name properly. But
Paratici.
he's quite a passionate view on this. But some people are desperate for Paratici to come back. Some people are going, absolutely not. Other people are going, I'm open-minded to it, but how on earth does this structure work internally? His ban's finally over. Stu, what's the latest on this? Is he coming back?
Yes, I mean, it's been a year now that, everyone's been claiming that he's been involved and he'll be back, and Lange will be out, and he'll be taking over. And as you know, I've been very adamant that I think he's incredibly overrated by our fan base, just because they like the idea that he's there talking on the phone before games on the pitch, and we're linked to a million players because he leaks it to Romano and everybody else. I very much prefer the way that Lange works. I think the fact that Lange and Frank have worked together before, I noticed in some of the interviews that Frank has done, he's referred the fact that he's working very closely with Vanai, Daniel, and Frank and Lange. But also, if you look into Paratici, his track record, I'm not saying it's bad with us, but it's not as great as I think many think it was. And if you look at his time at Juve's success was thanks to Marotta. And when he left Juve to go to Inter, you just have to look at the fortunes of both clubs. Inter started winning and Juve stopped winning. So I think it's pretty clear who was really the brains behind the recruitment, and it wasn't Paratici. So I would prefer that he doesn't come back, because I also don't see where he fits, because we have a pretty strong structure now.
I did like the idea, though, before of like Levy walking up and down the halls with Paratici behind him on the phone, busy talking, and just being like, Fab, just quickly, before I go and sign Jack Grealish for £100 million, do you reckon that's a good idea? He wouldn't do that, but you know what I mean? Like having a consultant who understands football better to maybe say, no, we shouldn't have a goalkeeper. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Do you know what I mean? Like just having that football. And that's the terrible example, because I'm sure Daniel was one of the more sensible voices when we were screaming out for Jack Grealish, saying probably not the wisest move to waste money on that. But you know what I mean? Having a football, he's not perfect. And like you said, he's a very up and down, polarized successes and misses. But I think now he's got Vinay there anyway as his right hand at his level. I just don't see where the value is, unless it's the black book of
I think he could definitely walk us around the intricacies of sporting law for this Gibbs-White case. He could probably give us a hand with that.
Well, imagine that behind the scenes. We don't know if it was him who found out the number and said to the club, on this consultancy deal, I found this out, put a bid in it. There's a chance.
There's a chance.
It would be hilarious if that came out as how it all came out, wouldn't it? And he goes straight on a 3-year ban again. We get to preview a game, guys.
Ooh.
We're going
Football.
from League One to the Championship. The Hatters, we're taking them on.
Did they stay up? No, they're in League One, aren't they?
That's where Keeley went, isn't it?
Back-to-back relegations.
Yeah, back-to-back relegations.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
But I think it's where Keeley went, so he'll be hopefully be playing.
Right. Yeah.
The second ever goalkeeper to have a 10 out of 10 performance. Do we expect lineup changes? Talking with the goalkeeper.
Is Matisse Tell? What's the story with him? Is he going to be back?
He'll be back.
Yeah.
Tell, Odegaard, Ritchie, and Gray were the ones missing last time.
Yeah.
According to Stu's notes.
Solomon, depending how his injury is.
We've got a lot of wingers on the left, don't we?
We've got a lot of wingers.
So all the players who could play on the left, you've got Tell, Richarlison, Son, Odegaard,
Moore, Tell.
Yeah, so you've got 5 players.
Yeah,
and then if we sign Morgan Gibbs-White,
that's
you've got so many players, 6. Is that enough?
But those aren't primary left wingers. I think it's like Richarlison is going to be our backup striker.
Yeah.
I don't, unless he gets sold, basically. In which case, we will probably bring in another player to play that position. So it's not like he's occupying extra squad space. Odegaard can play on the left or the right. I think it'll be interesting to see where he lands in the squad now that we've brought in Kudus. I don't actually know where that best role for him is. It could be interesting. Maybe we just put two after a 5 years of not being able to complete a dribble on the wing. We have two players who can. That's like their thing. That'd be interesting. To get a complete 180. And then I don't know. As we saw last season, it's always good to have extra squad depth, especially with like. I still don't think Mikey Moore is going to be giving us significant minutes this season. I would hope that he gives us more than last season. I think last season was kind of derailed by his illness that went on for like a couple months. That hopefully that's taken care of. But yeah, I think he'll bring in a couple more, but I don't think that's like necessarily like a huge worry in terms of minute splitting. I think those minutes are mostly gonna go in between Son and Patel as long as Son sticks around.
Is there truth, do you reckon, in this theory that Son's just there for the tour and then it's bye time?
I mean, I wouldn't believe that it. I wouldn't believe that it's false, but I don't know.
It'd be a bit odd thing to do, though, wouldn't it?
Would it?
I mean, it would make sense that like it would make sense sort of if you're like super like conspiracy build, but I just don't think so. I think we would have heard some sort of link to him away other than a vague maybe he'll leave, because even like Isak is being linked to Saudi clubs pretty credibly. Like team, like it's not they. I would say that they generally don't work in silence when they're trying to like buy big name players. So I think that the pomp and like the show is kind of a big part of like the point of that league. So I would be surprised if like a team comes in and like bids in secret and then we sell him like immediately after the break. And I don't really see him going anywhere else besides there for like. I don't think anyone else would be willing to spend the amount of money that he's worth to the club, even as a.
But how long's he got left in his contract? 2 years. One.
I think it's just the one.
Okay, so year. I mean, realistically, he's 32 now.
Yeah.
I mean, and
33, I think.
Yeah,
because he just had his birthday. So he just turned 33. I mean, well, look, we've had so many Sonny Lovelands, and I know like Stu's been much more dispassionate and businesslike about that, which is completely fair. But we've had the sentimental moment. He's lifted the cup now, so that is a game changer for the greatest sort of lovers out there. He's going to be forever linked to. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like Ozzy or Ardiles, and he spends most of his sort of life living in London. Sorry, my dog's in the background. Doing what Ozzy's doing, or maybe getting involved in the play. Oh, geez, I'm on my own, so I can't do anything about the dog. It's the most. It's the most common sense time for him to leave. I mean, I know it was the first game back, but his performance at Reading was really sad to see. I mean, his touch was shocking, and it's not like he was shocking all last season. He had his moments when he was a couple of moments when he was just like back to incredible like spurts of top stuff. But I mean, for his sake, you want him to go away. Like whether it's the States, I don't know if there's anyone who's got that kind of money over there, Deej. But there's obviously kind of issues with some players have issues with the Saudi league from a different point of view. I mean, I don't know if Son's in that bracket or not, but I'd just love to see him ending his career, enjoying himself, rather than sort of just declining at Tottenham and playing less and less of a role. And I don't think any Tottenham fan wants to see him sort of to diminish in that sense. He's lifted the cup in his last competitive game. It is the perfect time for him to go and come back and spend the rest of your life with us and come out and talk to us at halftime, and we'll always love you, man. But from a playing point of view, I think that he should, and hopefully he's got the common sense to see that, and he's not like some Frank Sinatra and thinking that he's just going to keep going on forever.
The other thing is,
I think also if he loses the captaincy, it might have
exactly.
impact.
He's also not worth. I find it frustrating sometimes when you're talking to others and you can tell, and it's not frustrating is the wrong word, but you know, like people are naturally blinded by love with something like a player they love, the club, activeness of it. You try to have a conversation about Son leaving last year. It was really touchy for some people. Just really didn't want. No way. He's got years left. He can adapt. He's world class. And even now, it's like, how much do you reckon you get for him in his last year of his contract?
Yeah.
33 years old.
Yeah.
I think
That's my point.
I don't think we'll get 20 million quid for him.
That's why I
don't think you get much at all.
Because I don't think that we just get a meaningful amount of money.
You either let him go, like for the reasons Johnny said, of it's the right time, just take 10, 15 million quid, let him go. Because even the argument that his shirt sales, he pays for him.
Yeah.
That's not true. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
We signed a Nike deal, which is worth 30 million a year. We get 30 million a year from Nike. They don't go, woof, you sold more than we expected from Sun. Let's give you the money. They gave us 30 million a year because they planned on making 40 million a year by using their branding and promoting him or whatever it is. And it's the same with Sun. Like, it might help you in renegotiating the next contract, but they're not idiots. It's not going to be like, damn it, we forgot they sold that player that was responsible for half the sales. We shouldn't have given them that great contract. Yeah. We need to wrap up because, Johnny, you've got to go to see Superman. More importantly.
Yes. That was a Superman. It looked a bit sketchy.
What to say?
I'll do two hands. I started dodgy and I'm finishing dodgy. Oh,
very
God.
Good. This is when Johnny takes off his glasses and he's Clark Kent. No, it's the other way around. And he's Superman, yeah. Oh my word.
Who's that?
Uncanny. It's uncanny. Well, up the Spurs, boys. We're finishing on up the Spurs.
Come on, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.